Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And as you've probably seen from the thumbnail or the title, these are 10 romance books that are worth it. Worth your time, worth it. Pretty much all of these are contemporary romance. And two of them do have a tiny bit of romancy, as in they're not fantasy at all. They just have a bit of magic in it, I guess, and I'll explain that as you go on. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share. Go check out my TikTok, add me on Goodreads as a friend, Pinterest, everything, all the links to my Pinterest, Goodreads, TikTok, Amazon wishlist, everything is in my bio, in the link tree at the bottom of my bio. Also, if you are a business person in a business and would like to collaborate with me, I've just put my email for collaborations and PR and all that in my bio, so please email me on that email if you're wondering how to contact me. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Let's get into it. A lot of these are book talk books. Some of them are sort of book talk books and some of them are not ones you would usually find on book talk. So if you've read most of the ones you've seen on book talk, then those can be ones that you can try out and hopefully love as much as I did. Starting it off strong with one of the original book talk books and booktube, obviously, The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. And oh my gosh, this book was so good. This was one of the first per se spicy books that I read, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. From the literal first chapter through the entire book, I was in love with these characters. I was in love with, sorry, that's my dog in the background. I was in love with just everything about this book, and honestly, it's just cute, funny, has so many good scenes, grumpy ex sunshine, and yeah. So how they meet is basically like what this story is about. Is it starts off with a prologue, but then when you get into the first chapter, it'll say on the blurb as well if you just want to pause and read that. Then I'll assume that you have. If not, then just go back and pause it. But it starts off, basically how the story goes is this girl over here, Olive, and this guy, Adam. He's a professor and she's a student in college, not in school before some people get a bit grossed out. But yeah, basically they're both in the medical world. She's a med student for cancer research, and he is a professor in the same, I guess, they'll explain exactly what it's called, but I'm just going to call it like the same kind of building area as she is. And basically she has told her friend, because she used to date this guy, that, you know, she's over him because her friend has started to like, her best friend basically has started to like him, and she's totally fine with them dating, but she just doesn't want to date anybody, and so her best friend thinks that, you know, she's still not over him and she doesn't want to make any moves even though they both like each other. So when she told her best friend she's on a date but actually goes to just work on her stuff in the lab, her best friend actually comes there, and so she runs up. It's like dead at night, so there's only a couple of people there working late. She runs up and kisses this guy, Adam, out of the blue, and is just like, "Excuse me, can I kiss you?" And then goes and kisses him. And obviously instant connection sparks. And then when she thinks that her friend has seen them, you know, kissing, and thinks that they're on a date, she just kind of, and her friend goes, then she just kind of stops and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and runs away. And what she doesn't realize until she pulls back from the kiss was that she was kissing one of the professors. And there is maybe an 8-year age gap, a 10-year age gap, I think. But yeah, eventually then word gets around that she was, you know, with him, and they both kind of need to be dating, kissing him, not with him. They both kind of need to be, you know, I guess they both need a partner for different reasons. And so she needs him, he needs her, and so they just agree to fake date. So it's fake dating, Grumpy X Sunshine, enemies to lovers, sort of. And it's so cute, so many cute moments, so funny. And this was my first ever Ali Hazelwood book too, and I have pretty much read all of her books except for Love to Loathe You, which is one book full of 3 novellas that she wrote, which I'm super excited to read and hopefully will be reading this month. But yeah, moving on to a not so popular book, Old Flames and New Fortunes. Not so popular on Book Talk. Not so popular. This was my first ever Sarah Hogel book. So when somebody I knew went to the States for a little while earlier this year, and they decided to bring me back a book from Barnes & Noble because obviously I wanted a book from there, and I'd asked them for one and they'd found it, but then they just decided to grab this because it looked cute too. And I was a bit skeptical at first, you know, because I hadn't really heard of it. I'd heard that she read You Deserve Each Other, and I'd wanted to read that book for a while, but I didn't recognize this book. I went into it blind and came out of it rating it 6 stars. It's so good, so cute, so funny. So it's a second chance romance, and it is a tiny bit of fantasy in here, but it's not a fantasy book. It's contemporary romance, and I'm gonna explain that. So basically, she is what you would call a witch, but not in like the, you know, ooh, I'm gonna cast evil spells. They like own a little shop, and she uses a bit of witchcraft because it's like been passed down from generation to generation, I think. Or it just kind of pops out of nowhere. I'm not 100% sure. It's been a while since I read this. But yeah, basically she uses that to, you know, do little cool tricks with products, like as in self-lighting candle, things like that. And I'm not sure if there is a self-lighting candle in there, but that's like an example, if you know what I mean. So basically, she has to go and pretend to be one of her best friends, like date, so kind of fake dating, but it's not like a romance between them because they are just friends, you know. So he asked her to go pretend to be his date to a wedding because, you know, his family is always on his case about dating and stuff, and because he wants to shove it in his cousin's face, or it could be aunt, I can't remember. And then basically, oh, and also if you guys want to read the blurb, yeah. Anyway, then basically it turns out that her ex from God knows how many years ago is also there, and he sees them dating. So now they have to pretend to fake date, and her ex kind of, you know, wants to get her back. So it's so cute, so funny, so underrated. 6 stars for me. Really, really good. And I've read another Sarah Hogel book now, and I've loved both of them, and I cannot wait to read more of her books. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this book too. Then we have book number 3. If you wanted an LGBTQ romance, I have got you. Another OG Book Talk, Book 2, Bookstagram book. OMG. So good. So good. There's so much humor in this. I died laughing. I binge read this book. I think I rated it 5 or 6 stars. And a quick catch of the blurb right there. And ooh, wow, I just knocked my phone. But basically I'm gonna do a really fast-paced one because I know I've been talking a lot about what the other books are about. But I just have to say this again, so cute. If you want to get into LGBTQ romances, get into this one. So good. Basically, he is the son of the president of the United States, and he's the son of the King of Wales, like one of the princes of Wales-ish. And he's like the spare, you know, if you want to call it that. But basically what happens is they have known each other for quite a few years prior to this book, like, you know, the actual stuff happening in the book. They are enemies, so it's an enemies to lovers book. Also kind of Grumpy X Sunshine. He's, you know, like stiff, very royal. He's extremely relaxed, partier, all that stuff. But they both like just don't like each other, and they can tell, you know, like with each other. But when something happens at I think it was a wedding in London between these two, they have to pretend to be good friends to keep the PR, you know, like super chill, because it's the re-elections and his mom is running again for president. And so then while they're having to pretend to be friends, he flies to London to kind of, you know, get photos of them together, get them like shaking hands, laughing together, all that stuff. They end up exchanging numbers and start texting when he goes back for a long time. And it's so cute, so funny. So then, I'm not going to go farther than that because there will be spoilers if I do go farther than that. But yeah, it's between these two. It's so cute, so good. And again, I'm sorry, that's my talk in the background. But yeah, it's really, really, really good. Definitely recommend this book, and I cannot wait to read more Casey McQuiston books. And so we have the next book/books. I'm going to count this as one because technically right now I am recommending this book, Flawless, the first book in the Chestnut Spring series, Cowboy Romances. This one's Enemies to Lovers, Boss's Daughter, and he's like a bull rider, and it's so good. It does have spice in it. It's really, really, really good. Absolutely adored the series, completely, like, you know, just ate it up. But I'm recommending technically the second book, but you have to obviously read the first book to get to the second book. Oh my gosh, such a good series. But if you have heard of the series before and you've heard people say that this one, it gets better as it goes on, yeah, definitely, because this series has 5 books in it, and honestly, this book, the second one, and the last one, the 5th one, were my favorites. This one was kind of, you know, it was good, but it wasn't anything super special, and I was like, okay, this might be a bit overhyped. But then I read the second one, literally one of the best romance books I've ever read. So, so good. So I am technically recommending this first book, but I'm also recommending this one in it because of the series. So if you're going to read this series and you don't think this one's incredible, and then you read this one and you see what I mean, or if you think this is incredible and then you also think this is incredible, or if you think, you know, whatever happens, stick with it, go on into the series, because I swear it does get better as it goes on. So yeah. Then, of course, we had to put a Mariana Zapata in here, the Queen of Slow Burn. A Mariana Zapata book, not a Mariana Zapata in here. All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata, a standalone, an incredibly cute and amazing standalone. I actually did this as a buddy read with one of my book besties, Amber sometimes reads. Go follow her if you haven't already on TikTok. She is so funny, has such good recs, and yeah. Oh, and I just realized that some of the chapters I read at the end were new and exclusive bonus content. That's great. But basically, this book is a slow burn, and there's a lot of kind of mystery when you first start it, if you know what I mean. So I'm not going to really say what it's about. You can read this blurb because that's going to tell you, you know, probably not as much as, you know, I will if I say it, because I will probably accidentally give spoilers or something. But yeah, it's really, really good. Really good. 5 or 6 stars for me. All of these are pretty much like 5-6 star books, reads that I'm going to recommend to you guys. And yeah, all Mariana Zapata books, well, I've read 3 of her books so far. When Gracie Met the Grump, this one, All Roads Lead Here, and From Lukov with Love. And I would definitely be reading more in the future. I really, really, really want to get The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata in that cover, because I have this cover for this one. But yeah, literally go read any of the 3 I just said. They were all incredible, but out of all of them, I would recommend this one the most. Then we have a super cute YA book, Betting on You by Lynn Painter. You've probably heard of Lynn Painter before because she wrote Better Than the Movies. That's not on the back. If it was, I'd show you. I've read that book. I've read pretty much all of her books that are out right now. I absolutely loved and adored them all, but this one was my favorite. You've probably heard it on BookTok if you've heard of Lynn Painter. And I don't know what you've heard about it, but I will tell you this was a 6-star read for me. It was so good, so cute. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. there's the blurb if you guys would want to pause and read it. But I went into this pretty blind about it. I didn't know what it was about. I just knew Lynn Painter wrote it. And I came out rating it 6 stars. Again, so good. So underrated. And I would really recommend this book. Then we have another popular book talk book, The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. If you've been debating reading this book because you're not sure what it's about, or you're not sure if you'll like it or not, trust me, been there, done that, completely regretted it when I read it because it was so good. Again, 6-star reads, so good. I cried with like happy, sad tears. Not sad as in this is a sad book because it's not, but I cried in a good way. I love this book. I rarely cry with books. This book moved me. This book made me so happy. And yeah, I have already bought her most recently released book there. Her most recently released book. And I cannot wait to read it. It's on this month's TBR for me. This one also has some kind of fantasy, but not fantasy. It's just there's a magical apartment in here that can take you either 7 years prior, 7 years in the future, and that's why it's called The 7-Year Slip. And it's a romance book. It's so good, so cute. Yes, there's a happy ending if you're wondering. And yeah, I absolutely loved it, and I would definitely recommend it to you. And this is the blurb. And I really hope you guys love it, and go read it. If you're wondering whether you want to read it or not, go read it. This is your sign. Now we have one of my all-time favorite comfort reads, Things We Never Got Over. I think I've read it 3 times now. I absolutely love this book. This is the first book in the Knock 'Em Out series, and oh my gosh, it was so good. That is the blurb if you guys want to pause and read that. Okay, so this book, small town, grumpy ex-sunshine, enemies to lovers, single mother. Well, it's her sister's kid because her sister's a bit of a flake out, but you'll read about that because in the beginning of the book, she is not a mother. About this far in, she becomes a mother. It's so good. It may be a bit confusing at first, but stick with it. Trust me, because now Lucy Score is one of my favorite authors thanks to this book. Also, if you've already read this book and you're thinking about reading Things We Hide from the Light, the second book in the series, that book, please read it. I know you must be skeptical. I know if you started it and you're like, not for me. That's what I did. I stuck with it though. I started it again. I stuck with it. I did not regret it. That was also an incredibly good book. Then I read Things We Left Behind, and I realized that all of them were at least 5 stars. And I loved it. I really hope you loved it as much as you'll love it, or you loved it as much as I did. But yeah, if you haven't read this book, you definitely have to read this book. This is one of my all-time favorite romances. Then we have The Duff by Cody Keplinger. You might have seen the movie on Netflix, and you might have loved it. You might have hated it. I don't know. I sure as hell loved it. I sure as hell loved the book as well. 6 stars again. I'm so glad I didn't judge it by its cover because I was about to not buy it because of its cover. I read it, 6 stars, incredible, so cute, high school romance, enemies to lovers, childhood, like, friends, and she's, like, not so popular, and he's, like, the quarterback or whatever. It's about finding yourself, it's about being more confident in your skin, it's about everything that you really need to focus on, you know? I'm not saying you specifically, I'm saying people in general. And unless you are super confident already, in which case you go, girl or guy, or them. But honestly, it was so good. So good. And I really think everybody should read this book. It is so underrated. I wish it was more popular. It should be more popular. And I've read this literally like 5 times now. I binge read it. I read it once, then the same night I read it again, and then I read it again like 2 days later. It was that good. And I've read it, like reread it again. I'm probably gonna reread it soon again. I've watched the movie at least 4 times now, and this has just got such a special place in my heart, and I really hope it'll have a special place in yours. Finishing this off with a bang, Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. Oh my gosh, if you haven't heard of the Boys and Tommen series, where are you? So good. Oh my gosh. So these are the first 4 books. This is the first book in the series. Then it goes Keeping 13, Saving 6, Redeeming 6. So you might be wondering why it goes Binding 13, 13, and then 6, 6. And then there's the 5th book that's come out, Taming 7. Also so good. And that's because the series follows a group of friends in their romances. And this book and this book follows a couple. This book and this book follows a couple, and then the 5th book is a standalone, connected, obviously, that follows another couple, and then there's going to be more. I think there's going to be about 10 books in the series. So excited. This is such a good series. This first book is YA, then it gets a bit more adult as the series goes on. Definitely check the trigger warnings. I've recommended this to so many of my friends. 2 of my friends are reading this right now, and they're loving it. Loving it. One of those friends who's reading it has literally never read a romance book before, and she's reading it now and she's loving it, and I'm so happy that she is, and I really hope you guys will love it as much as she did too, and as much as pretty much everybody else who's read the series has loved it. And yeah, but get ready, bring a tissue box with you because there is some heavy stuff in here. I personally was also almost brought to tears, and that is saying something because I'm a cold, like, stone-hearted monster when it comes to reading. I don't know what it is. It's very hard for me to cry. I did cry when I was reading Powerful by Lauren Roberts. That is another good book, but right now we're talking about romance books. And this is the blurb, if you guys want to read that. So good. Please check the trigger warnings, and yeah, that's the last 10th book. Okay, I'm gonna do a really quick overview of like every single book. I'm just going to show it to you guys again in case you guys missed it. The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This is the back. Old Flames and New Fortunes by Sarah Hochul. This is the back, and while you guys are reading this or whatever, I just want to say that pretty much all of these are at least 5 stars or 6-star reads. The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This is the blurb. Betting on You by Lynn Painter. This is the blurb. Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. This is the blurb. Please read Things We Hide from the Light and Things We Left Behind because they're both so good if you've read this book or the second book and are skeptical about reading the rest of the series. The Duff by Cody Keplinger. Please don't judge us by its cover. I know you might say you do. Please just make an exception for this one. It's so good. All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata. Flawless and Heartless by Elsie Silver. Technically Flawless, but more specifically Heartless, because the 2nd book and the 5th book in the series are honestly my favorite and, in my opinion, the best. Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. And last but not least, Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for, if you have subscribed, like, commented, even just watching helps me. And please do all those things that I said in the beginning. Go check out my TikTok, add me on Goodreads, follow me on Pinterest. If you want to collaborate with me or PR packages, anything like that, please email me on my business email. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and see you in the next video.